Donald Trump wants it. Republicans, they will give it to him. The Republicans today in Texas this morning unveiled the new congressional maps that devastates the Democratic delegation in Texas. But they also screw over voters in the state of Texas who are black and brown. Now, keep in mind, 61% of Texas, minority. Yet for these Republicans, they want as many white members of Congress as they possibly can. So as a result of this decision, what they're doing is they're forcing a number of Democrats who to now run against each other when it comes to the seats. They take out a black district in Fort Worth. They take out a black district in Houston. And the surgical precision by which they're operating is all because of Donald Trump. There are so many people in Texas who've been speaking out on this. But this has been a very clear plan for Republicans because Donald Trump said, I want 5 seats. He wants to take out Jasmine Crockett. He wants to take out Congressman Al Green. But he made it clear to Texas Governor Greg Abbott, who's nothing but a Trump sycophant, saying that, hey, I want to pick up 5 because Republicans are scared to death they're going to lose the House next year. So as a result of the Texas House Congressional Redistricting Committee has been having these hearings. Now, here's the crazy thing about these hearings. People have been testifying, but they hadn't had any maps. It wasn't until this morning when the maps were released. I'm going to show some of that a little bit later. But first, I want to talk right now with Texas State Representative Jolanda Jones, who sits on that committee. She glad to have you here. So here's what's crazy. You've been on this committee, and you sent me this video earlier where the chair came up with this rule that y'all, in order for anybody to speak, they had to be so-called neutral. They couldn't be for or against, which is crazy because it's clear what they're trying to do.
So for sure, and let me say this, I stepped down from the committee because I'm running for something, but that's neither here nor there. What they wanted to do is they're trying to create a record. And the record that they're trying to create is that everybody's neutral on these maps. So people are literally
Actually, let's hold tight 1 second. I'm getting some feedback. So if you have our live feed up, can you mute that on your end? Because it looks like I'm getting feedback. So when you talk, I'm actually getting double audio.
I don't.
Okay, keep talking.
Come back to me and because I don't have your live feed up.
Okay, all right. So I'm not sure why we're getting double audio. Keep talking, and if it continues, we'll stop and try to get it fixed. But go ahead.
Okay, so we actually have these hearings with no maps, and people were expected to testify, with the exception of one person. Everybody said we don't want redistricting, like, at all. But there was nothing to complain about, like, in actuality. Normally, there's supposed to be a bill before us. People come and they speak on the bill. So you can see how the bill affects you. So, for example, the bill that was filed this morning, the racist bill that was filed this morning, literally, for the most part, substitutes Congressional District 18 for Congressional District 9. So
all right,
I believe
so 1 second. For people who don't understand, the maps there. So Congressional District 18 in Houston was held by the late Congressman Sylvester Turner, late Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. That's the seat that you also are actually announced you were running for Congress. Congressional District 9 was the seat held by Congressman Al Green, correct?
Yes. Yes.
So what they're doing is they're wiping out 9, making that a Republican district. And to force
for Hispanics
and to force Congressman Al Green to run for the 18th congressional seat. And the way they changed the map, that's where he now lives.
So they literally moved him into Congressional District 18. Although normally incumbents, there's something that says protect incumbents. Texas has said, we don't give a hell about that. We're not protecting incumbents. They literally moved Congressman Green into Congressional District 18. Let me tell you how they did it. They took, for Congressional District 18, 70.7% of the proposed Congressional District 18 comes from Congressional District 9. So his constituents will now be in Congressional District 18. They're not used to being in Congressional District 18. Congressional District 18 is only keeping 25.6%. So I'm certain everybody who's running for Congressional District 18 is just sick because people love Congressman Green here. But the bottom line is there were 2 black seats and there's now only going to be 1. That's the problem. They did the same thing up in Dallas County and Tarrant County. They literally moved it.
Yep. So let's go. Okay. So in Dallas County, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, Tarrant
and
County,
I spoke to her today.
Tarrant County, Congressman Mark Veazey. He's in Fort Worth. So what they've done is they've completely eliminated the Democratic district in that seat in Fort Worth. Just totally eliminated. And in fact, and we've been saying this because they've been doing redistricting on the county level where they are trying to eliminate one of the black county commissioners in Tarrant County. And Tarrant County is the last large county in Texas that's red. So they are desperate to hold on to that county because Harris County, Dallas County, Austin, Travis County, Bexar County, Travis County is Austin, Bexar County, San Antonio. All those are now blue counties. And so that's the game they're playing. But go right ahead.
But let me tell you what they did. And I spoke to Jasmine today, or Congresswoman Crockett today. Here's the deal. They literally moved her from Congressional District 30, where she currently represents, and they moved her into Congressional District 33, which is where Mark Veazey represents. They literally took out all of the economic drivers in her district. So not only have they tried to consolidate black districts to get rid of 2 black congresspeople, but they've also taken away economic drivers. Airports are economic drivers. They did the same thing in Congressional District 18. They took that from CD 18. It's always been there. So they are eviscerating black districts, and it is terrible. And literally, people who live in Fort Bend, they're used to voting for CD 9. They're not used to voting for CD 18. People will go to the polls. If they go to the polls, they will not know who they're voting for because they're literally not used to these people. This map is done with surgical precision. I almost believe that AI did it, and it is so racist on its face. I think that it violates Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act.
No. First of all, let's keep in mind how we got here.
Okay.
The Trump DOJ, first of all, I could go back. So these maps were approved by Republicans in Texas in 2021.
Let me be clear. These maps.
Go ahead.
These maps were drawn. They weren't just approved.
Right.
These maps were drawn by Republicans, and they shoved the redistricting plan down the reps' faces. If you'll recall, the reps did a cornbreak. Right. And they went to D.C. So these were Republican maps. Right. So
the Republicans drew these maps. The Republicans said that race was not a factor in drawing these maps.
They testified to that, Senator Huffman.
So they were like real clear. Trump's Department of Justice sends them a letter and says, "Oh no, these violate the law by using race." And the same Republicans go, "Oh, you're right. We're going to redraw them."
Actually, no. The Republicans literally just testified ago in this trial about these maps. The Attorney General said, no, these maps were not based on race. We did not consider race. And Senator Joan Huffman, who was over the Senate Committee on Redistricting, said these maps didn't have anything to do with race.
Okay, so let's be real clear. So Republicans in Texas said these maps have nothing to do with race, but the Trump DOJ sends a letter and says it does, and the Republicans go, okay, we're going to change the maps, when normally the state of Texas would say, no, we disagree. We'll see you in court.
That's what the state of Texas said a month ago. They've changed within the last month. And
so
let me be clear.
A month ago they said that. Then Trump said, I need 5. And they was like, okay, cult leader. Okay, we're going to give you 5.
Right. And the funny thing is they identified 4 districts. They identified CD 18, CD 9, and CD 29 in Harris County. And they identified CD 33 in Dallas in Tarrant County.
So these
And
are the three right here. These are the three at 9/18/29. Now, explain to people, because see, this is where we talk about cracking and packing. So what they
Yes.
did was, so they made 18. So first of all, hold up, let me go over here. So y'all see right here, percent of the black population of the 2000 census. Orange is 70 to 100. Magenta is 70 to 100. The orange is 60 to 69. So all of a sudden, so what they did was they packed as many black folks as possible into 18 in order to take them away from another district, and that's how they put 18 and 9 together to form this sort of one black super district.
Can you lower it a little bit, Roland? I want to explain something to what you said. Just lower it, so
here.
that I can see the top part where it says, well, I need to see 29 and 18.
Yeah, it's right there.
But you can make it bigger.
I got it. So 29, 18, right there.
If you look where it was, leave it right there. So where the 18 is showing, you see at the bottom, it's got that is a high concentration of black people.
Yeah, that's why. The dark orange, that's the high concentration of black people. Go ahead.
Right. So if you go up to 29, you see where it says 29, that's Congressional District 29. That orange and red up there used to be in 18. It's now in 29. So they literally cracked, because in redistricting talk, they talk about cracking a district or cracking people and then packing people. They took these high voting areas for black people and literally took them out of 18 and put them in 29. So 29 is represented by a Hispanic woman. And hold up, the lower part is Acres Home. Acres Home is historic to Congressional District 18. Congressman Turner was from Acres Home. It's always been in Congressional District 18 under Barbara Jordan, Mickey Leland, Craig Washington, Sheila Jackson Lee. And all of a sudden, they took a high voting black precinct and they moved it to a Hispanic precinct, but there aren't enough black people to overcome that. So that area of Houston, that black area of Houston, will not get to choose a representative of their choice like they did before. I mean, they literally have not tried to preserve any core parts of any of the congressional districts, the black ones. They are like, out the window, we about to divide y'all up, we about to take over, we gonna cut y'all from 4 to 2, just that quick.
Well, and not only that, what they've done is they are forcing two Democrats in the Austin, San Antonio area to run against each other. And so again, what their goal is, I think right now, is it 25-13, the breakdown, Republicans, Democrats?
Yes.
Breakdown. So it's 25.
It's 38 total, yes.
25 Republicans in the House, 13 Democrats. What they want are 30 Republicans in the House and 8 Democrats. And that's what their goal is, to put them all against, to basically force them all to compete against one another. Obviously, there are going to be legal challenges, but it is absolutely stunning, Representative Jones, to sit here and watch Republicans go, yeah, no, there was no race. And then now all of a sudden, because a month later, Trump wants to get what he wants, they're like, yeah, we're going to go ahead and move forward with this whole thing. It's crazy.
It is, and to the point that you were talking about with neutral, in court, it's important in court that people say I'm either for or against something. The reason they were just so cold with how they said, oh, no, you got to testify neutral, we don't have a map. Literally, when it goes to court, it's going to appear that people were neutral on it, they didn't have an opinion, which will help the Republicans try to keep these maps in court, which my personal opinion is we need to break up out of here, because there's 88 Republicans and 62 Democrats in the House. There's 20 Republicans and 11 Democrats in the Senate. 62 don't never beat 88. 11 don't never beat 20. We need to get up out of here.
Okay, now when you say get up out of here, do you mean, first of all,
quorum break?
That's what I'm saying. So for people to understand, there has to be a quorum for the House to do business. And in previous redistricting battles, Democrats fled the state. Republicans have changed the rules, now saying they will fine any Democrat that is absent, $500 a day, something along those lines.
$500 a day. Yes.
The Texas Tribune, I was looking at a story a little bit earlier where they were talking about that, where they said that that Texas, here's the story right here. Texas Democrats are fundraising to potentially lead the state to block GOP-backed redistricting. Again, we previously saw them leave to go to Oklahoma and other places. Republicans even were threatening to send Texas state troopers after House Democrats if they did that. But the reality is, Democrats must do all they can to stop this, and stop it from happening. And the last time that happened, you frankly had some Democrat turncoats who said, "Oh no, we need to stay here and fight," and that's what gave them a quorum.
Absolutely. So let me explain to you about the quorum. There are 150 of us. In order to conduct business, there have to be 2/3, which is 100. There are 88 Republicans. They need 12 Democrats to reach the 100 mark to conduct business, which is why we need at least 51 of us to go, because you can't get to 100 if 51 of us are gone. So, yeah, that's what we need to do. We need to stop this because mathematically we are overmatched, again, because of the 88-62-20-11 dynamic that I told you about. That's the only way we can stop this.
And one of the reasons you have that dynamic because they also have gerrymandered the state districts.
Yes, they have.
To give them a majority. Y'all, do me a favor, pull up the tweet that went out today by that idiot J.D. Vance. If you all want to see a level of stupidity, J.D. Vance sent a tweet out today complaining about gerrymandering in California. Y'all, where's the J.D. Vance tweet? No, I can barely see it. You know what? I got it. Because I need to show people what it looks like. So come back. I'll pull it up in a second. If you want to understand how crazy these folks are, it really is unbelievable, Representative Jones, how hypocritical they are. You've got these silly Republicans complaining about gerrymandering. Kevin Kiley in California, oh, this is not right. This is just unfair. And so how dare you? All these different things along those lines. And these people are so you don't see this tweet right here. This is hilarious. So he posted. This is J.D. Vance. Now, mind you, where's J.D. Vance from? J.D. Vance is from Ohio. Okay, and what are they trying to do in Ohio? They've been gerrymandering in Ohio. They had a redistricting committee. They ignored that particular committee. They totally ignored the committee, and they're trying to gerrymander seats as we speak right now. First of all, so J.D. Vance goes, the gerrymandering in California is outrageous. Of their 52 congressional districts, 9 of them are Republican. That means 17% of their delegation is Republican when Republicans regularly win 40% of the vote in that state. How can this be possibly allowed? Well, okay, let's see, dumbass. Last I checked, the Supreme Court, the conservative Supreme Court ruled that they had no place when it came to political gerrymandering. Racial gerrymandering, they do. John Roberts-led Supreme Court said they have no place. So that gave Republicans the green light to gerrymander, which they also said was that the state Supreme Court then had jurisdiction. So that's why when the Democrats elected the woman in Wisconsin, which gave the Democrats a 4-3 majority on the Wisconsin Supreme Court, guess what they did? They ruled partisan gerrymandering to be unconstitutional. Because in Wisconsin, you talked about surgical. What the Republicans did in that state, if Democrats won 55% of the vote in Wisconsin, the Republicans would still control the legislature because of how they use surgical precision, computer models to actually be able to have political gerrymandering. So who the hell is J.D. Vance fooling? This is what Gavin Newsom did. This is his response to that idiot, J.D. Vance. I got you done. Y'all, I want y'all to pull up. Y'all got the graphic. Pull it up. This right here. Okay, this is the most gerrymandered states. All right, so I want y'all to see. This is Gavin Newsom responding to that fool, J.D. Vance, trying to show him, oh, you're complaining about California and gerrymandering when the states that gerrymander the most literally are Republican states. That's literally what his response is. Now, Representative Jones, what we already see is Gavin Newsom has already made clear, okay, Two can play that game. And so, going back to the Texas Tribune, Newsom will move to redraw California map if Texas redistricts, teeing up national fight. And so the story right here says he's told California Governor Gavin Newsom has told aides he will move forward with a plan to redraw his state's congressional lines to install more Democrats if Texas Republicans pass their own updated map, according to a person with direct knowledge of Newsom's thinking. And so here's the deal, Representative Jones. Not just California. I say Maryland, you do it too. Illinois, you do it. Virginia, you do it. New York State, you do it. Though there are more populous states that are blue than there are red. And so if they want to pick up 5 in Texas, which still be fought in the courts, Democrats could pick up 12 to 15, maybe even 20 in these other states. Fight
But
fire
here's what
with fire.
we do. And because, look, when you go low, I'm going to go lower. But what I'm telling you is this, Roland. Here's what's going to happen if the maps change here. The people are going to win because of how they gerrymandered. The lawsuit is going to come 4-5 years later. The damage is already going to be done. So that's why we have to do what we have to do now.
Right. Well,
we've got to stop it now.
First of all, let's explain to people. The lawsuit's not going to come 4 or 5 years later. Lawsuit's going to be filed immediately. But here's what happens. The Supreme Court has a rule that if it's so right now this is July. Okay, so they make this move right now. You're going to have the lawsuits. Well, the problem is your primaries. When are the Texas primaries?
But that's what I'm saying. They're going to get elected. The primaries are in March.
No. Right, but I'm having to explain to people why what you're talking about. So because the Texas primaries are in March and the general election is in November, and the Supreme Court has done this before. They did this with the maps in Louisiana as well as Alabama. They allowed the election to move forward. So they basically froze everything in place by saying it's too late in order to litigate this, which is also BS because the Supreme Court can move fast if they chose to. So they're going to say, if this is now in July, Texas passes this map in the next week, lawsuits are immediately filed. Now you're going to district. Now you're going through all the steps. They're going to then say, well, you know what? Even if it comes to us by January, it's simply too late because the primary is in March. It's going to cause things to be an upheaval. So therefore, we're going to leave things in place, which means they will pick up those 5 seats.
Pick up those seats.
Election takes place.
Because you've got to file in December.
Right. Election takes place in November. Elections take place in November. And then the litigation continues. So essentially, they will get those 5 seats in the House in November 2026, and they might lose after that. But that means that those folks are in place through 2028.
Even farther than that, because the litigation that just happened in El Paso last month, Roland, was for the maps that were drawn in 2021. It's now 2025. So 4 years later, the trial happened. So those people have been elected for 4 years.
Right.
So the damage is done. And they have to draw the reason that the Republicans have to do this with the speed with which they're doing it is because the law requires that the maps be drawn within a certain period from the date that you have to file.
Yeah.
Which is in December. So, and people have to be able to look and say, hey, I want to run for this seat or I want to run for that seat. So that's why there's the haste. And that's also why there was redistricting by ambush. That's why they didn't put these maps out during the 3 hearings in Austin, Houston, and Arlington, because they didn't want people up in arms like they are now. And I believe just from a strategic standpoint, the only way we can stop it from happening where they don't actually take the seats yet is for us to quorum break and get out of here, is what I think we need to do. Because if we come back or if we don't quorum break, they're going to win the seats and the damage will already be done because they will be able to hold on to their lead in the House, in the midterms. And Trump will probably be running for his 3rd term, which we know he ain't supposed to do, but he don't give a care about what's really going on. So that's why it's important. And the only people who can stop this from happening are state representatives in Texas. And so at this moment in time, I am thankful to be the state representative for House District 147 because I'm going to do all I can do to stand in the gap for Texans generally and for Black Texans specifically, because if we lose these 2 Black seats, we won't ever get them back because of our population. So, and that doesn't make any sense. Black people are 12.33% of the Texas population. And right now, with the 4 seats we have, that's only a little over 10%. If we lose 2, it's going to be down to 7% of the entire population. So our congressional delegation already is below our actual population in the state of Texas. That's why this stand is so very important. And that's why I'm asking people from around the country to help us to be able to sustain a quorum break. Because y'all think we just fighting for Houston or Dallas. Let me be clear, we fighting for democracy, because if you think it can't get worse where you at, let Trump stay in office for 6 more years.
Well, and again, what people need to understand, Republicans are doing this not just when it comes to the congressional district. They're doing it to a county commissioner's seat in Galveston County. They're doing it in Tarrant County. This is about holding on to power. That's what it is. Representative Jelanda Jones, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Roland.
I want to bring in my panel, Robert Portillo, who joins us right now. Robert, glad to have you on the show. Civil rights attorney. Robert, who also, first of all, out of Georgia, where they've had, of course, a number of redistricting battles in that state as well. And so we've seen that take place over and over and over again. Also, Rebecca Carruthers, of course, CEO of Fair Election Center. Glad to have her on the show as well. Rebecca, I'll start with you. Again, we know what their strategy is, and they're playing it out. I'm purposely wearing this shirt, Rebecca, because this is one of the issues. Texas has more eligible Black voters than any state in the country. And when we have been on this show imploring Black people that they have to vote, this is why the Republicans have taken advantage of people sitting elections out. You're on mute.
During that segment, you all definitely got into the weeds. I want to make sure that we're broadening it out for the audience. So this isn't just Texas, because Missouri is now talking about doing this, including eliminating the Kansas City Black district, which is Congressman Emmanuel Cleaver. Ohio is now talking about doing this. The reason why we need to talk about this more is, first of all, the current maps in Texas are bad. There are several lawsuits claiming that it's unconstitutional already, and that's from the 2020 census, with the very extreme gerrymandering and racial gerrymandering that happened already. So now, on top of extreme, to be honest, actually, after about 15 years of extreme gerrymandering, because after the 2010 census, it was very gerrymandered. And then Texas picked up 2 additional seats off of the back of the increased population of Hispanic voters, Hispanic folks in Texas. But then what happened is that there should have been more Hispanic seats in Texas after 2020. That did not happen, but they became white majority seats. And so now when we're seeing specifically this cracking that's happening, I really want viewers to understand what that means. To put Mark Vesey against Jasmine Crockett, Fort Worth versus Dallas, that's the equivalent of having the representative that represents Gary, Indiana, to represent Chicago, or the representative of Wilmington, Delaware, representing Philadelphia. And so people just really need to understand what this means. It isn't just, it's an overlapping district. For them to go to such extremes, to go over an hour away, and that's without traffic, to try to connect folks along a slivered path in order to make up a new district, this is very intentional. And like Representative Jones mentioned, hey, this must have been AI. And I guarantee you, yes, this was AI with this surgical precision. So now you have you have members in Texas who are racially motivated. Now they're using technology. Now they have a Weakened Voting Rights Act, which means these things can happen. So Representative Jones is right. Unless members of her caucus decide that they're not going to be around for quorum, this new map, which is even worse than the current map, it is going to become law. And so what you and her were talking about is like next steps with the litigation. The issue that we've seen in the past when it comes to litigation around redistricting is the courts, especially if they have a particular ideological bent, they end up kicking the ball down the road or kicking the can down the road until it's now too close to the actual election to do anything about it, which means that is years of folks not being able to vote for the candidate of their choice. And finally, when it comes to redistricting, one of the most important pieces of it is when you draw a district, it needs to contain a community of interest, meaning if it's a college campus, you shouldn't divide the college campus, which happened to North Carolina A&T when Republicans in North Carolina decided that they wanted to racially gerrymander some of the state House and state Senate seats surrounding HBCUs. So we see this happening every 10 years.
Yep.
But what is extremely troubling is now this is happening every couple of years.
Robert?
Look, at this point in time, Roland, is very clear. Democrats have to stop trying to live in the America that they have imagined, that they want. They have to stop imagining we are in this Greek platonic democracy and start getting into the gutter, fighting the same way Republicans are. They've not just started this. This is just the latest iteration of this. They've been trying to do this since after the 2000 census. We've had litigation for the last 25 years over gerrymandering, over cutting up of districts. They've been going after the Voting Rights Act for over a decade at this point in time, chipping away with it bit by bit. And now with the Trump having a 6-3 majority on the Supreme Court, with having control of most of the circuit courts, having control of the Senate, where they can pass through literally his personal attorneys to be circuit court judges and appeals court judges, Democrats have to realize, as was said by the representative, they got to get up out of there. You have to fight the same way that they are fighting. There's no other way to do it. You have to use their weapons against them. And then in democratically controlled states like California and Maryland and other places where you have the opportunity, you're damn right you need to be fighting fire with fire. Enough of all this high-minded moralism that we're just going to do what is correct. Remember when Trump was transitioning to power and all the Democrats made that big show saying, look, this is how we have a dignified transfer of power. We're not like those January 6th people. What good did that do you? Where did that get you? How has that progressed anything? You're letting the people who are fighting the wrong way win. At what point in time do you just say, look, I'm going to get the brass knuckles also, and let's take it to them? I think that's the point we have to be at now. The American people want fighters, as opposed to simply wanting someone who's going to roll over and let Republicans and the extreme MAGA agenda do whatever they feel like. So get out there and do some damn fighting.
Absolutely. All right, folks, we're going to continue to cover this repeatedly. There again, folks are speaking out, they are weighing in, and it's about mobilizing and organizing. So you've got a political fight in the legislature, you've got a legal fight in the courts. While they're doing their part, folk need to be doing their part, mobilizing and organizing in Texas. Listen, let me explain to people what has to happen here, okay? Can Democrats take control of Texas? No. But what's the process? First, you have to break the Republican supermajority. That means identify. Look, there have been a couple of times in the last 8 years where Democrats are about 5 seats away from taking control of the Texas House. You have to break the supermajority. That's first. And then you have to begin to build. You have to completely build and rebuild the state party. Texas used to be an all-Democratic state. It's now all Republican state. That's because Texas is not organized and mobilized. You've got more than 2 million eligible but unregistered Latino voters in Texas. When Beto O'Rourke ran against Greg Abbott for governor, 75% of voters under the age of 30 did not vote. Hundreds of thousands of black voters not voting as well. And so there's a way to stop Republicans, but sitting out elections is not one of them. Representative Jones, we appreciate you joining us. Thank you so very much.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.